All right. So, the New Republic does not impress me whatsoever. But anyway, so this is my Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 3 review. Now, let's start at the beginning. So we pick up where we left off last episode, and Bo-Katan is just staring out into space, maybe thinking about what she experienced. I don't know. And Din is just lying there. At first, I didn't even notice that Grogu was there. He's that little. And then I see that Din Djarin is stirring and Grogu is right by him. So he obviously was using the Force to heal. I guess he was using the Force to get water out of his lungs. I mean, I don't really know how he was helping him, because unless Din pressurized his helmet again, he was taking in water. So I don't know. I have no idea what they were doing, but so Bo quizzes him as to whether he saw anything while he was down there, like something living. And he said no, and she just drops it. And she's just like, oh, no, nothing. Which is weird that she wouldn't say, oh, by the way, but maybe she was doubting herself, that maybe she didn't see what she thought she saw. And the fact that Din didn't see anything makes her think, well, maybe I just saw something that wasn't there. So they head off. At first, she thinks she saw something, and then just shakes it off like, yeah, there's nothing there. So, which leads to my thinking that she's just, not ignoring, but deciding that what she saw wasn't what she actually saw, that she was just hallucinating with the mythosaur. But anyway, so they head out, and the plan is that she is going to drop Din off at his ship, and that they would go their separate ways. Now, before they left, Din takes a vial and takes a sample of the living waters to prove to the armor that he bathed in the living waters, which I didn't know was a thing. It's water, but based on what we saw later, it's not just water. But anyway, so as they're flying, they get to the moon, they get to the planet, and TIE interceptors are after them. And the and Bo had the funniest line. Din tells her that, warlords generally don't like it when you steal their ships. And her response was, now you tell me. I just thought that was hilarious. Which, considering the rest of the episode and what a downer it was, so they're trying to get rid of these TIE interceptors. And so it's decided that she's going to fly Din over his ship, and he's just going to free fall to his ship. And as soon as she says that, Grogu gets, closes up his pod. So I don't know if he thought that Din was taking him with him. But regardless, and she's trying to convince R5, which is hilarious. She's like, "Oh yeah, I'm used to flying these cliffs. It's fine." And R5 just keeps falling over. Poor droid. But anyway, so she's trying to outfly these TIE fighters. Din is helping her in hit TIE interceptor, sorry. And he's trying to help out with his N1 fighter. And before I continue, well, actually, let me finish this and then I'll go back. So they're flying, and then suddenly, they think, okay, they won, they got rid of all the TIE interceptors, and suddenly you see explosions. So Bo flies there, and her castle is being decimated. And she snaps, basically. She kind of snaps, and she wants to go and kill each and every one of them, which you can't blame her. They just bombed her house. So Din finally gets through to her. And he tells her that we have to leave, and I know where we can go. So they head off into hyperspace, which the TIE interceptors, I guess, don't follow. Maybe they don't have that capabilities, because anyway. But I almost forgot. Here was a cute little, just before the TIE interceptors attacked, Din said this is the way, because Bo-Katan said, yeah, I would throw you a feast, but that helmet's not coming off anymore, so no point. And he said, this is the way. And this was odd. She repeated it, so maybe it was because she was just, being nice or humoring him, because she doesn't actually believe that. Or she's just being respectful, because her whole demeanor towards him changed. She's actually being nice to him. So even though she doesn't believe in his cult, she respects that he does, and is like, okay, well, this is what you believe, so okay. And then Grogu says something. Now, when I first watched this, I figured that he was trying to warn them, because they're both looking at him like, wait, what? But at first I thought he was trying to warn them that the TIE interceptors were coming. But now, listening to what other commenters said, and quite a few said this, is that he was trying to say this is the way, which would make sense, though that would be the first sentence he utters, because he hears it so damn much. So that makes sense. That makes total sense. So anyway, so they transition from there to Coruscant. Now, at first I'm like, wait, they're not going to Coruscant. That's too far away. But no, we pick up with Dr. Pershing giving trying to convince people to let him continue with his research, whereas at the same time giving a mea culpa, because he was helping the Empire. And it wasn't so much he was helping the Empire as much as he just wanted to do his research, and they were the ones who were letting him. It's just that they were letting him because of them being horrible people. But based on what I saw of the New Republic, they're not much better. Anyway, so he finishes his speech, and then he goes down, and Elia came for his speech, which I'm like, oh, is she spying? Is she part, but she wasn't hiding herself, so, because you don't know what's happening. But it turns out that he goes down, and everybody is thanking him, saying, what a great job he's doing with the cloning, blah 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 blah. He's being mugged. So then he leaves to go to his new quarters. And he gets there, and cab drivers are chatty no matter what species, even if they're not sentient. At least, I don't think droids are sentient. Because the droid was very chatty and very friendly. So he gets to his new quarters, and there's 4 people there, one of them being Elia. And so he's nervous. He's your stereotypical scientist geek. He just wants to be alone with his research. He doesn't want to deal with people. So they introduce themselves, and they all have letter and number designations. And all I can say is, what the fuck? Why is the New Republic giving them that? I mean, yes, at least in the US, we have number designations called our social security numbers. But nobody addresses us like that. We still have names. So why are they... And this is their next stop after their re-education camps. Which, again, what the fuck? I mean, I get that you're trying to rehabilitate these people and get them to contribute to the New Republic, which is great. But I hate the term re-education. It sounds like brainwashing to me. It's so... Dr. Pershing's already nervous, and then he sees Elia. And he points out that she was on Moff Gideon's ship, so he's a little more so he's a bit nervous. And everybody's like, "You were on Moff Gideon's ship?" And she's looking at him like, "Shut the fuck up. Don't tell people that." So she claims that she just wants to forget Moff Gideon. But she doesn't seem to like Dr. Pershing at all. So, okay. I mean, Dr. Pershing's the kind of guy who is a loner. He's off by himself doing his research. So, what did he do to piss her off? I saw a comment about revenge for, that she doesn't like him because he led the Mandalorians to Moff Gideon's ship, but technically that's true, but he didn't have much of a choice. He wasn't given a choice in this matter. So I fail to see, logically you cannot conclude that he willingly did it. So, or maybe she assumes that because he's reintegrated into society. I don't know. But anyway, so they're talking, and Pershing is off in his own head, and then they ask him about what he misses about the Empire, and he's like, "Oh, no, giving the party lines, like, no, dude, I mean, the day-to-day stuff, not the Empire stuff." So he mentioned the yellow travel biscuits. And so they're all laughing and having a good time, and Dr. Pershing is loosening up. So then he goes back to his quarters, and he's listening to basically a travelogue of Coruscant. And Elia told him that she's been to Coruscant before. He has not, which surprised her. And actually, I'm surprised too, since that was the seat of the Empire. I realize he didn't give a shit about the Empire. He was just doing his research, but still surprising. So, she offered that she would give him a tour if he wanted. So he's listening to his travelogue, and then he hears his chime. He goes to see who it is, and there's nobody there. And all there are the yellow travel biscuits. A whole a whole suitcase of them. Which, why wouldn't they just stand there and say, "Oh, I got this for you"? I mean, based on what we find out later, maybe it's because she didn't want Dr. Pershing to ask questions about where she got them, I guess. I don't know. So he takes them in and starts munching on them. And then we see him at his desk. And he is just simply cataloging Imperial equipment to be destroyed. And he's not happy about this because, I mean, this is perfectly good stuff. It's just, it was used with bad intent, but the stuff is still good. And I would have to agree with him. I mean, it's not the technology that's inherently bad, it's just who used it. So he's already starting to dislike the New Republic. And then he goes for the second time to talk to his parole officer, I guess. And he lies and says that, he's having no issues with anything at all. Which is also really creepy and 1984-ish. This idea that if you're having disputes with coworkers or you have a problem with the New Republic, it's just I mean, I get what they're trying to do, but that's just creepy. So this was after he had, and I guess he was hanging out with Elia again because they had earlier gone out on the town and she was showing him the sights and she almost got him into trouble, which now that I think about it, that was just foreshadowing to what ended up happening. So, now the recaps that I've watched, were saying how Elia was prodding Dr. Pershing to continue his research, that she was convincing him. He really didn't need that much convincing because she was just telling him what he wanted to hear. He thought that he would help the Empire. He would help the New Republic by continuing his research. And the New Republic was like, this is off limits. No, you cannot do this. Which makes everyone in the Senate just fawning over him earlier really weird. That they were fawning over him for something that was illegal. But anyway. So she continues to convince him to continue his research. And he finally decides that he's going to. So he goes to her quarters and tells her that he's made the decision that he's going to do this. And this is what he needs. So she's like, okay, tomorrow night we'll go and do and get you what you need. So she takes him on a train, and you can see that the officers, that they're nicely chatting, and then they see them and they're like standing at attention, which was really weird. It's not like these are higher ups in the New Republic. So maybe these people used to be Imperials, and so they know them from there, and so it was just habit. Or it's, as one person I saw said, that they knew what they were going to be doing soon, that they were going to be arresting him. So, so they go to the platform, and he's like, I've never done anything like this before. So they get onto the train, and she's like, and he looks at her and it's like, have you done this before? And it's like, how do you think I got the travel biscuits? Okay. Which, based on how this ended, I wonder if that's true. That's how she got them. But, so a couple of droids were coming down the aisle to take tickets, which of course they do not have. So they're walking. Dr. Pershing's actually quite good at jumping from train car to train car. I was quite impressed. And so they're going until they get to the end of the train. Well, it just so happens that their stop was coming, so it slowed down long enough for them to jump off. And Dr. Pershing actually finds this fun and entertaining and amusing. So they get to the Star Cruiser, and he goes to get his things, and Elia decides to make nice and apologize to him for how mean, well, not how mean she was, but how she never acknowledged him on the ship. And it's like, yeah, well, that kind of wasn't the way things worked. So she introduced herself, and that's how we found out her name, if that is her name, because we find out that she's not exactly on the up and up. So he gets what he needs, and they get out, and immediately they're being arrested. But it's just Dr. Pershing, because she turns, grabs what he had, and basically said, here he is, it's him, he's the bad guy. So they take him to some machine, and he knows exactly what the machine is, and he is freaking out. And they said, oh, your friend told us everything. And he's like, what the hell did she tell you? And he's trying to convince them that she set him up, which she did. But on the other hand, he kind of wanted to do this all along. It's not like, she needed to force him. She basically just told him what he wanted to hear. So he did have these thoughts. It's not so much it was anti-New Republic, which again, it's super creepy that their idea of running this government, running this world, this universe, was, making sure that people didn't have deviant thoughts, which, I mean, yes, a lot of the Imperials were bad people, but Dr. Pershing wasn't one of them. I mean, could he have been a Goebbels type of doctor? Absolutely. Was he? Of what little we know of him, no. I mean, it's possible he killed people in his cloning experiments. So maybe he is to the level of Goebbels, but at the same time, I just, just the idea of messing with someone's memories so they will be compliant, just, you know, this doesn't make you any better than the fascists. It just doesn't. So he's trying to plead, and so they set up the machine, and it's supposed to help him forget certain things. Now, they don't go into details as to how do we know what he's forgetting. But Elia convinces the guy who's setting up the dosage, that she's a friend and she just wants to be there. And he's like, "Yeah, sure, you can be here." I mean, he has no reason to doubt her, right? Because she's the one who turned him in. But if what Emergency Awesome thinks is correct, that they knew from the get-go, then wasn't she actually setting him up? And shouldn't the guards have noticed that? Because she was she wasn't being forced to help him. So yeah, either either that wasn't the case, what Emergency Awesome suggested, or these people are dumber than even the Imperials were. So he's begging for basically his life, and they turn it on, and he doesn't seem to be having a good time of it, because let's face it, a little bit of torture is still torture. It's not like because it's not full blast that you're going to have your mind completely wiped. Doesn't mean that it's going to be a fun time. Even though he was told that, oh yeah, it's pleasant. I'm sorry, forcing you to forget things is not pleasant. I can't imagine that being pleasant at all. So she turns up the knob all the way. And we don't see whether it made it, you know, more painful or what. And what I'd like to know is, does it just increase the pain and not how many memories go bye-bye? Because I really would love to know, are they turning him into a drooling idiot? Completely mind wiped. Or, because, and then the question is why? What are you accomplishing? Because they wanted to use his research. And yes, she has the equipment, but she doesn't have the know-how. So, and if other scientists could do what Dr. Pershing could do, then they probably wouldn't have used Dr. Pershing for as long as they did. Or maybe because he doesn't have any scruples, because he was willing to kill off some of his patients just to make his experiments work. I don't know. So anyway, we leave Coruscant there. And, oh yes, and she's seen eating a yellow travel biscuit, which I guess is supposed to show that she's still Imperial, but technically he was eating them too, and he wasn't Imperial. Even when he was working for the Empire, he wasn't Imperial because he just cared about his research. So I don't know, maybe. So, um, so we leave it there and we go back to the Mandalorians. And he's taking her back to his culvert. And because, and he tells her, just don't take off your helmet. And she's like, fine. And so they go there, and Paz Vizsla greets them, and he's not too happy to see either one of them. And Din tells Paz that he has proof that he bathed in the living waters. So they go take him to the armorer, and Bo explains her role in that, Din goes into the living waters, but because of all the explosions, it became an open cavern, and so he just plunged. And so she had to rescue him. And so the armorer's like, oh, so that means you bathe. You've also been redeemed. And she's like, well, I guess. And she asked, have you taken off your helmet since you did this? No. Then you're welcome to stay for as long as you like. And she didn't protest. And I think it's because, she just lost her home. She literally lost her home. It's not because she doesn't have a clan, which she didn't exactly have her. She wasn't exactly surrounded by people. So it sounds like everybody abandoned her. So now she has somebody. She has a group of people around her. So I guess she's like, well, that's just, if I can't take my helmet off for now, that's just the price I have to pay for now until I can figure something out. Let's see. So that's how it ends with Bo-Katan agreeing to stay, and the armor basically said, look, you're free to go whenever. It's fine. You're not stuck here, but until you choose to leave, you're welcome to stay. And everybody's basically high-fiving the both of them, for Din for being redeemed, Bo for, I guess, being redeemed as well, and welcoming them back into the fold. And so, like I said, that's how it ends. And I have no idea where they're going to go from here. But obviously, there's more story for Dr. Pershing and Elia, because it's going to come out. Now, the Calamari officer said that this happened to him and he feels so much better, which begs the question, did any of those memories come back? That the memories came back, but he's like, yeah, I don't want to think that anymore, but I remember doing that. So, will Dr. Pershing get his memories back? Because we don't know how much memory he's losing. And will he get his memories back? And how badly is this going to bite Elia in the ass? And why is she doing it? I've been seeing people say that she's still working for Moff Gideon, and that she's going to try to help him escape. So I guess that's possible, that she's working to try, because that was the conversation earlier in the episode where they were talking about what happened to Moff Gideon. So I guess it's possible that that's her end game. But yeah, I would love to know why she turned on Dr. Pershing. Because you know, as of now, she doesn't have anyone to help her use this equipment. She's a communications officer, not a doctor. So yeah, a lot of questions on that front. And how is this going to dovetail with Mando? Because obviously it has to. Actually, now that I think about it, maybe Dr. Pershing does figure it out. That, like I said, he regains his memories and he's able to contact Din and tell him what's going on because, well, he's got them as contacts now because he, like I said, he himself was never Imperial. He just used the Empire to facilitate his research. He never intended his research to be used in such shitty ways. But then again, he probably didn't care how many people he killed it to facilitate his research. So yeah, it's possible that he has Din as a contact and he can call him and say, I have a problem. How would you like to stop Moff Gideon from regaining power? So maybe that's what's going to happen. Let's see. With that, I think I've covered everything this episode, and I will see you guys next week.